80. Amazements. Author's POV. "Tell me, Mr. Dawson, please, you're scaring me now," Lavanya pleaded, her face tense with worry. It's about my mom," Jackie hesitated. "What about her? Does she hate me after knowing about my confused decisions?" Lavanya panicked internally. "What else can you expect, Lavanya? You've hurt her only son countless times. How could she possibly forgive and forget so easily?" Her conscience nagged. "No, it's just—" Jackie shook his head. "What?" she asked, eager to know. "She wants to see us, so I booked tickets to San Diego, without asking you. And we're leaving tomorrow." What? She stammered, completely caught off guard. "Yeah," he trailed off, waiting for her reaction. "Why didn't you tell me earlier? Why does she want to meet me? Is she going to scold me?" Her voice softened, filled with uncertainty. "What? No. Why would she do that?" Jackie frowned. "Because I rejected your proposal so many times," she guessed. "That's not even a reason for my mom to be mad at you. And anyway, my mom doesn't scold anyone. She's never even scolded me." Jackie chuckled. "Oh, right. Your mother is American too. I forgot that." Lavanya sighed. Jackie's smile faded slightly. "What's that supposed to mean?" "I mean, she's not like Indian mothers," she stated. "I still don't get your point." He gave her a quizzical look. "Indian mothers turn into monsters when someone hurts their children. P.S. They're also the sweetest mothers in the world," she explained. Jackie fell silent for a moment, deep in thought. "What happened?" Lavanya asked. Nothing. Nothing at all," he replied, hesitating before nervously asking, "You didn't mention anything to your mom about me hurting you, did you?" There was a brief pause before Lavanya suddenly burst into laughter. "That's not funny. I'm asking a serious question," Jackie insisted, but she only laughed harder, making him feel even more anxious. "Great," he muttered, shrugging in annoyance. "Only God can help me now. Or maybe Mr. Verma," he prayed internally. "Be ready tomorrow. We need to be at the airport by 8. Until then, good night," Jackie said as he turned towards his room. "Mr. Dawson," Lavanya called after him. "Yes, sweetheart," he replied, turning back to face her. She blushed. "When will we go back to India?" He smiled. "Soon. You are going to meet my parents, right?" she asked, needing confirmation. "Yes," he exhaled, slightly nervous. When?" she pressed. "Whenever you say," he answered confidently, but when he noticed her uncertainty, he reassured her. "Don't worry, love. You can trust me, even blindfolded." "Mr. Dawson?" She addressed him again. "Yes, Mrs. Would-be Dawson?" he teased. She smiled, blushing. "I love you." "That means you want to kiss me." He grinned, eagerly stepping closer. "No, no, 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 good night," she shrieked, rushing into her room. Jackie shook his head, laughing at her childish antics. "Good night, love," he sighed happily, feeling utterly content as he headed to his own room. The next morning. "We are already running late, Lavanya. What are you looking for?" Jackie called out, standing outside her room. "My pendant," she replied. "Calm down, Jackie, calm down." He took a deep breath. "It will still be here when we get back from San Diego. Why do you have to wear it now?" "I want it now," she insisted, still rummaging through her belongings. "And that is exactly what I'm asking." "Why?" he groaned, rolling his eyes. "Because," she huffed, looking at him before exhaling loudly in frustration. "Because," he raised an eyebrow. "Because it has Shri Ganesh Ji." He looked puzzled. "Sorry, what?" "Shri Ganesh Ji," she repeated loudly. "What's that?" He furrowed his brows. "Not what, who," she corrected him. "Oh, sorry, someone related to you?" he asked innocently. Her mouth fell open. "Related? Are you mad? He's not a relative or a friend. It's the name of one of our gods," she explained, looking appalled. "Oh, I see." He nodded. his expression changing instantly. But why do you need it now? Because I'm quite nervous to meet your mother, she admitted. What? He frowned. What? Then suddenly he burst out laughing. She's not a monster, for God's sake. But she's your mother, she argued. Jackie fell silent, his expression unreadable. It was only then that Lavanya realized how her words had come out. Oh no, that's not what I meant. I'm really sorry, she apologized anxiously. We are not monsters, Miss Verma, he said dryly. No, I didn't mean it like that. She sighed, exasperated. It's okay, he said, cutting her off. Then glancing at his wristwatch, he added, Now, will you please hurry up? We're running out of time, love. But... No buts, please, he interjected. Let's go now, and trust me. You don't need a charm around your neck when Jackie Dawson is standing right beside you, okay? She smiled at his reassurance and nodded. Now move, he ordered, grabbing her luggage from the bed.
Lavanya's POV. After a few hours, we landed in San Diego. The weather was slightly warmer than San Francisco. Mr. Dawson booked a taxi and we headed to his mother's house. You just stay here, he suddenly said, lightly pushing me to the side. I frowned in confusion. While I am trembling at the thought of facing his mother for the first time, he is planning a surprise? Is this really the right time for surprises? Here I am, shaking like a nervous schoolgirl, and he is turning this into a game. He pressed the doorbell twice, and within seconds, the door swung open. Jackie, a voice rang out, surprised, excited, emotional, and incredibly sweet. Mom! Mr. Dawson stepped forward, wrapping his arms around her in a warm hug. You didn't bring the girl? Her eagerness to see me was obvious. What girl? He asked innocently. That girl, your girl, that Indian girl, she clarified. A smile tugged at my lips. I left her in San Francisco, he said nonchalantly, planning to send her back to India. What? Did I just hear that right? I was shocked. What? But why? His mother asked, sounding genuinely concerned. I don't know, Mom. You can meet her, but I don't think she'll be able to handle the pressure of... He trailed off. While I was still busy eavesdropping, suddenly both of them stepped out and stood right in front of me. His right arm was draped around her shoulder, and her left hand rested against his back. She was much shorter than him. I froze. My eyes widened, my mouth hung half open, and for a moment, I forgot to breathe. Her eyes sparkled like stars as she studied me, taking me in as if I were the perfect mannequin in a boutique dressed in her dream outfit. I was still standing there like a statue, utterly speechless. I didn't dare look directly at Mr. Dawson, but I could see him clearly from the corner of my eye, standing there, arms crossed, grinning at me proudly. His mother stepped forward, smiling with an amused expression. My God, you're even more beautiful and gorgeous in person. No wonder my son is so drawn to you. I heard Mr. Dawson chuckling beside me as he whispered, Okay, seriously, why does everyone keep saying that? I mean, she is, but I'm not that bad either. Look at her flawless skin. Hi! His mother greeted me warmly, stepping closer. At that moment, I had no idea what to do or how to greet her. But out of sheer habit, my body reacted instinctively. I bent down and touched her feet. Oh, what happened? She flinched slightly, taken aback. I quickly straightened up. Why did she touch my feet? I heard her whisper to her son, leaning back slightly in confusion. I shifted my gaze to Mr. Dawson, who was now staring at the floor, as if something fascinating had suddenly appeared there. I have no freaking idea, he whispered back. They were both waiting for me to explain. Summoning all my courage, I finally found my voice. We greet elders that way, I said softly. Oh, I'm sorry, sweetheart. I didn't know, she said, looking genuinely apologetic. No, I'm sorry. I didn't know how to greet you properly, I admitted. She smiled warmly. Let me think. A hug, maybe? It's a universal greeting gesture, isn't it? She said, opening her arms towards me. I blushed, smiling back. Taking a step forward, I accepted the hug. She was warm, and in that moment, I was reminded of my mama's embrace. Okay. I think you two ladies have forgotten that someone else is standing here. Mr. Dawson chimed in a few seconds later, making both of us chuckle. Come inside, she invited, leading us in. But she never let go of my hand as she guided me to the couch. Sit here. We sat down, and she started asking me all sorts of questions about me, my family, and of course, about India and its festivals. She was genuinely curious, eager to know every little detail. She even mentioned how she couldn't wait to meet me after seeing my pictures on Mr. Dawson's phone. For the first time, I saw him blush. He looked slightly shy, almost out of place in our conversation. Give me a moment. I'll go prepare the guest room for you two, she said before excusing herself. A second later, the last three words rang in my mind. For you two? No, she didn't mean that, did she? So, Miss Verma, how is my mom? Mr. Dawson suddenly asked, pulling me out of my thoughts. She's very sweet, I replied, still slightly distracted. Does she live here alone? I started asking other questions, hoping to ease into the real one that was bothering me. The smile on his lips faded into a straight line. No, I told you about her second marriage. This is his house. He runs a nearby supermarket. Oh, I murmured, choosing my next words carefully. And you? No, I don't hate him. He cut me off before I could finish. No, I wasn't asking that, I quickly clarified. I was just curious if you two talk to each other or not. He exhaled sharply. Just because I don't hate him doesn't mean I like him, he said firmly. I don't want him involved in my life. He loves my mom, he keeps her happy, and for that I'm grateful. But I can never forget that because of him, I couldn't stay with her. That's all I know about him. And that's all I care to know. Other than that, I have no interest in his existence. That's not the Jackie Dawson I know. That's the voice of a teenage boy who didn't get his parents' attention when he needed it the most, I pointed out gently. Was that my fault? He asked defensively, furrowing his brows. No, not at all, I replied instantly. But it wasn't his fault either. He simply fell in love with your mother, who was searching for real love. Everyone deserves happiness, sir. She didn't get the love or time she needed from her first husband, and she found it in him. But she never stopped loving you, did she? Didn't she fight for you? He avoided my gaze, clearly trying to suppress his emotions. She did fight for you. She just lost, because your father was powerful. Unfortunately, the law doesn't understand emotions or relationships. It only sees the practicality of life. And for your future, your mother endured that failure. Just think, for a moment, how she must have felt when she realized she had to let you go. You are her only child, and I shouldn't say this, but she and her husband never had a child together. That man might have been hoping that you would accept him as a father. What are you saying? Are you nuts? He snapped. Why the hell would he expect that? And why would I ever do that? I'm not saying you should, I clarified. I'm just pointing something out. And what exactly is that? His expression hardened with anger and frustration. Have you ever wondered why your mother never had another child all these years? Who bloody cares? He shouted, slamming his fist onto the armrest. I flinched at the sudden outburst, making him realize how startled I was. Immediately, his anger faded. I'm sorry, he murmured. I'm sorry too. I shouldn't have interfered, I said, feeling guilty for pressing too hard. He fell silent for a long moment before finally speaking again. Look, I didn't mean to scare you, but my childhood was a mess, and I just don't want anyone to see that side of me. Because I'm not proud of it, he admitted. Then, in a softer voice, he continued, But I don't want to hide anything from you either, because you already know about this. The world knows me, but they don't know what I've been through. I walked alone through every step of my life, Lavanya. His voice cracked slightly. Ever since my mom left, I never had anyone beside me when I needed someone. There was no shoulder to cry on, no ears to listen to my sobs. Whenever I was mad or sad, whenever I screamed or shouted, the only reply I ever got was the echo of my own voice. His eyes glistened with unshed tears. I had no one to blame, no one to complain to. It was just me and the walls. He paused, exhaling deeply. My entire high school life felt like a punishment. Things got better in college when I found James as my best friend. But even then, I never got my parents' love, Lavanya. Tell me, whose responsibility was that? I took a deep breath. I know circumstances weren't in your favor. You had a rough teenage life, but you can't keep blaming others forever. You need to let this go. It's been a decade, sir. People make mistakes. You have to move on, I said, trying my best to convince him to ease the burden of his past. He exhaled sharply. Then what do you think I should do? You ask yourself, I challenged him. Has blaming your mother and shutting her husband out ever made you feel any better? Has it ever given you your childhood back? He was silent for a few moments, lost in thought. Then, with a quiet whisper, he answered, No, it never made me feel better. Then let it go. Free yourself from those painful memories. Welcome peace and happiness with open arms, I advised. He narrowed his eyes at me. I'm not asking you to be best friends with him, I continued, but at least break the ice. Be civil, be a good son to your mother's husband. He loves the woman who gave birth to you. He doesn't have a son or daughter of his own. Do you really think he would ever hate you? I don't think so. He studied me for a long moment, then gave a slight nod. Your room is ready. Freshen up and tell me what you'd like to eat. I'll make it for you. His mother grinned, then turned to Jackie. What does she like, Jackie? Miss Verma loves authentic Indian street food, right? He smirked, throwing me a teasing glance. I shifted uncomfortably. Indian food? His mother looked puzzled. No, auntie. I'm okay with anything, whatever you cook. But please, let me help you, I offered quickly. I'll be back in a minute. I excused myself and went to the guest room. After washing up, I walked out of the bathroom, patting a towel against my face, only to freeze in place. Jackie was sprawled across the bed, lying on his side, elbow propped up, head resting against his fingers. He looked like he had settled in comfortably. What are you doing here? I asked, glancing at the closed door. I was thinking about what you said earlier, and you're kind of right, he admitted. No, I meant, what are you doing in my room? I repeated, eyes narrowing. Your room? He raised an eyebrow. I mean, the guest room I'm staying in, I corrected, motioning to the bed. There's only one guest room, he said nonchalantly, and we are staying in it. What? I gasped. So I had heard his mother correctly. No way. You know that's not possible. We cannot share a room, I stated firmly. But love, we have to, he said with a smirk. This is a two-bedroom house. The older couple shares one bedroom, so the younger couple has to share the other. I knew it. I know what he is thinking. I can see how happy you are. I huffed, annoyed. I couldn't even ask his mother about this. What would she think of me? Can't we ladies share a room and you... Whoa, no way. He cut me off, shaking his head. I can read your mind too, Miss Indian Verma. I am not sharing a bed with a man. He's your mother's husband, I reminded him. So what? He's still a man and not even my father, he pointed out. How can you even think like that? I frowned. The same way you think about me, he countered. I scowled. I cannot rely on your words or promises. He shrugged. I'm not even asking you to, because I can't promise anything. My stomach dropped. Whoa, what do you mean? I stammered. He gave a casual shrug. I mean, don't trust me. You'll be lying right beside me on the same bed. Anything can happen. My breath hitched. Nothing is going to happen. I've already made that clear, I exclaimed. I hope your words are true, he sighed, exhaling loudly. But you know, these feelings, they're natural and instinctive. You can't control them that easily. The way he said it sent a shiver down my spine, as if he was planning something. Mr. Dawson, I'm warning you. If you touch me, I faltered, my brain scrambling to find a strong enough threat. Relax, love. My mom doesn't know that we don't share a bed. She thinks we're already... Shh. He made a sound that sent shivers down my spine. I had no idea how to stop him, so I did the first thing that came to mind. I threw the towel straight at his face. He burst into laughter, and I stormed out of the room. I spent the next hour helping his mother in the kitchen. We chatted about Mr. Dawson's favorite dishes, and I mentioned how much he loved the cake she made during Christmas, something he had told me before. After about an hour and a half, we served lunch and sat down together to eat. The meal was filled with conversation, laughter, and shared stories. It was a smooth and pleasant afternoon. Later, Mr. Dawson was lying on the couch, watching television, while his mother and I continued talking about my parents. That's when we heard the sound of a car engine outside. Suddenly, Mr. Dawson sat up straight, his expression hardening into something serious. A heavy silence fell over the living room as the knob of the main door turned. A middle-aged man walked in, carrying several shopping bags. I assumed he was Mr. Dawson's stepfather. His eyes immediately found me, then flickered between his wife and Mr. Dawson. Since Mr. Dawson was facing the back of the couch, his stepfather couldn't see his face. Sir hesitated, refusing to turn towards him. Instead, he kept looking everywhere except at us or his mother's husband. Honey? Auntie spoke up, breaking the silence. This is Lavanya. Remember? I told you about the girl from India. She gestured toward me. Oh, yes, of course. I do remember. He quickly placed the bags down on the table and stepped forward to greet me. Nervously, I stood up as well. Out of habit, I bent down and touched his feet, only to realize a second too late that he had extended his hand for a handshake. Hello, uncle, I greeted, standing up straight. Oh yes, pardon me. He quickly joined his palms together instead. Namaste, he said in an effortful but surprising way. Even his wife and Mr. Dawson looked completely caught off guard. Namaste, I smiled, mirroring his gesture. Where and when did you learn that? Auntie asked, her face lighting up with a smile. I don't really remember, he admitted. I just... No? He seemed unsure himself. You all continue talking. I'll put these bags away in the kitchen. Before picking them up, he turned toward his stepson and gave him a small nod. Good evening, Jackie. Mr. Dawson hesitated for only a second before standing up. Good evening, he replied, extending his hand for a handshake. For a moment, his stepfather seemed caught off guard. It was clear he hadn't expected that. But after a brief pause, he shook Jackie's hand, though the exchange looked a little stiff and awkward. Excuse me for a bit. I'll go change and see you all at the dinner table, he said before grabbing the bags and disappearing down the hallway. A few moments later, Auntie spoke again. Jackie, why don't you show Lavanya our backyard lawn and garden? I'll be back in a few minutes. Then she too went inside. Jackie and I exchanged a glance. To break the awkwardness, I spoke first. Show me. Oh, what? He looked puzzled. The backyard garden, I reminded him, shrugging. Oh, yeah, come with me, he said, leading the way toward the back of the house. I followed. By now, it was almost dark, but the lamps illuminated the garden beautifully, casting a soft golden glow over the space. Wow, I breathed, taking in the sight. Who takes care of all this? Both of them love gardening, he replied. Such a sweet couple, I murmured, admiring the serene beauty around us. We spent some time in the garden, then headed back toward the house, about to enter through the back door when we heard hushed voices. Mr. Dawson had his hand on the kitchen doorknob. He pushed it open just slightly, and through the gap, we saw his mother and her husband talking. I told you I don't remember, we heard his stepfather say. So, you learned that, Auntie guessed. I didn't, he denied. You did, she nodded knowingly. We stood silently, listening, careful not to alert them to our presence. Finally, he gave up. Okay, fine, I did. I overheard you talking to your boy the other day about bringing his Indian girl here. I knew he'd bring her eventually, so I thought I'd learn something about India and Indian culture to make her feel a little more comfortable and at home here. Oh my God, that's so sweet of you, honey. You put in so much effort for Jackie's happiness, she said, cupping his face. Then, to my immediate horror, she began kissing him. I instantly averted my gaze, feeling like an intruder. But as I did, my eyes landed on Jackie, his expression heavy with guilt as he stared at them. Mr. Dawson, I gently wrapped my fingers around his left arm. He blinked at me, as if snapping out of his thoughts. Let's go through the main door, I suggested. He nodded without hesitation. At the dinner table, an unusual silence lingered between us. Then, out of nowhere, Mr. Dawson spoke. Thank you. All eyes turned toward him. His gaze was fixed on his stepfather. Uncle looked just as surprised as the rest of us, struggling to process what Jackie had just said. Jackie continued. Thank you for loving my mom, for giving her the time and happiness she always deserved. Thank you for making her life better, for always being there whenever she needed you. I know I've been distant, cold. I've ignored you, treated you like a stranger, maybe even resented you. That was my own childishness. If I've ever hurt you, I'm sorry. He paused, exhaling deeply before going on. Look, I can't give you the place of my father, but I can try to give you the respect you deserve. I hope we can give a name to this relationship. The room felt completely silent. When I glanced at Auntie, I had to do a double take. Her eyes were filled with tears. I couldn't tell if they were tears of happiness or if they carried years of buried sorrow finally breaking free. I never minded you being distant. Uncle finally spoke, his voice thick with emotion. I understand how you felt. I never knew my parents. I was an orphan from the moment I opened my eyes to this world. So I do know what it feels like to be alone. But if anyone was guilty here, it was me. Your mother couldn't stay with you, and I couldn't provide enough for her to fight for you. Believe me, your father was a powerful man. I never had the guts to stand against him to get you back for your mom. Now, when I see how successful you've become, it makes me proud. Keep going, son, he finished hesitantly. Another pause. Then, Auntie's quiet sobs filled the silence, making it even harder to bear. Jackie turned to her and gently pulled her into a side hug. After dinner, we sat for a while, talking. Mr. Dawson and Uncle didn't say much, but their exchanged smiles said enough. Meanwhile, Auntie and I kept the conversation going. Soon, we all retired to our rooms for the night. I never really got to experience family meals like this, Mr. Dawson said as he walked toward the bed. Of course, your parents were incredibly hospitable when I was in India, but having this kind of family time, sitting down for meals with my mom and him, it's an amazing feeling, he murmured, lost in thought. Meanwhile, I was thinking about a very different problem. How am I supposed to sleep in this room with him? There isn't another bed or a couch, just cupboards everywhere. Where will I even fit on the floor? You lost something again? I heard him ask. Huh? No, why? I replied distractedly, still scanning the room. I don't know. You tell me. You seem very busy looking for something on the floor. You do lose your favorite things quite often after all. No, I was just checking the space. The space? On the floor? He raised an eyebrow. Why? Because I can't share the same bed with you, I stated firmly. What? He blinked, then smirked as realization dawned on him. Oh, I see. But darling, there's no space on the floor. You have no choice. Stop pretending to care. I know that look. I'll manage, I said through gritted teeth. Really? I can't wait to see how Miss Indian Verma manages this. He grinned mockingly. That smug smile, ugh. After struggling for nearly 10 minutes, I finally gave up with an exhausted huff. There wasn't enough space in any corner of the room to fit, not even a dwarf. Meanwhile, he was lying on the bed, casually staring at the ceiling, whistling. I know you're enjoying this. Defeated, I slowly walked over to the bed and lied down on the very edge as far from him as possible. Honestly, with how I was perched, one paw could have sent me tumbling off. I turned my back to him, determined to avoid his gaze. Wow, he exclaimed, amused. You really managed so well. That's probably the safest place on earth. Look, I can't even reach you. I rolled my eyes, trying to contain my frustration. But, he continued, what if I move just a little closer? Then can I reach you? My breath hitched. Let me see. I felt the mattress shift as he moved. My pulse skyrocketed. My body tensed, every nerve on high alert. And then a warm breath ghosted against the back of my neck. A shiver ran down my spine. A seductive whisper brushed against my ear. You see? He murmured, his voice sending a shockwave through me. How easy it is for me to reach you. I froze. Completely. My mind shut down. Then, suddenly, I wasn't even sure how it happened. I just turned, and the next thing I knew, I was staring directly into his sky and blue eyes. And he was sweeping his gaze up and down my face. His body, not even half a foot away from mine. I was blank. Totally blank. I didn't even remember how many times I had gulped.